Thanks for joining us live with the Miami's Community News, and I'm Michael Miller. We are here with two wonderful people from the Chapman Partnership. Congratulations on being here for the fine work you do. Christine Hernandez and Candace Cummings. Welcome, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Tell us about Chapman Partnership. What is it? How is it started? And what does the future look like?
Sure. So Chapman Partnership has been in our community for around 27 years now. We are the primary partner of the Miami-Dade County Homeless Trust. We were founded by Alva Chapman Jr., who was formerly in the media industry. He was with Knight Ridder, now known as the Miami Herald, and he saw a very prominent need in our community 27 years ago when he was in retirement. So he came together with some of his most affluent peers and colleagues and founded Chapman Partnership.
And so people go, well, what is that? What do you do? So tell us what the Chapman Partnership does, and then we're going to get on to Candace in a moment.
Sure. So Chapman Partnership is a local homeless assistance center. We provide a comprehensive suite of programs and services that we believe illuminate pathways towards self-sufficiency. So we're ending homelessness every single day.
So years ago, there were a lot more homeless people out on the streets. We used to see them all the time. So what's been happening with that we don't see those people that are homeless? Candace, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we there's less than 1,000 people that are on the streets now. We at Chapman Partnership are able to provide these services to people experiencing homelessness and give them an outlet to get back to self-sufficiency.
And I understand Chapman has a program called Chapman Camp. Tell us about that.
Yes, Camp Chapman. That is for our kids that in our centers. During the summer, obviously, our kids are there all day now. They're not in school. So we actually have Camp Chapman we provide different activities for them, whether it be dance classes, cooking classes, and thankful to our donors who they're able to go on field trips every Friday, whether it's to the Seaquarium or the zoo or, an adventure park. We're able to do that for them throughout the summer.
So as an outsider looking in, there's children that are homeless with their parents.
Yeah.
That is heart-wrenching. How does that happen? Why don't you tell us?
So there are top 5 reasons why people may become homeless: lack of affordable housing, lack of livable wages. There's certainly many different reasons that they can become homeless. We're very fortunate that at our center, we are one of the providers in the continuum of care that can service families with children. So we have family dorms on site. Actually, about 43% of our resident and client population is families with children. So we're able to house them together at either our downtown or homestead facility.
So if somebody is homeless, how do they get connected to the services you offer? What is the process typically that happens? We see them out on the street. We think they're homeless, right? They're out on the street. We would say they're homeless, or there's some other derogatory terms that we call them. Mm-hmm. That's not necessarily that they're not staying there or staying somewhere else. So they may not be sleeping on the street.
Correct.
But for the ones that don't have a place, how do they find out from going from 88th Street and US 1 to your organization?
Sure. That's a great question. So we are very fortunate to be partners with the Miami-Dade County Homeless Trust, which helps us facilitate the City of Miami outreach. So there is a homeless hotline that you can call that's powered by the Homeless Trust, which is, again, we're so blessed to be partnered with them. They're able to call that homeless hotline, and it's a triage-based process. And that homeless hotline services everyone in the continuum of care. So when they call the homeless hotline, they're triaged by somebody on a phone. And depending on their case, they can be placed either at Chapman Partnership or anywhere else in the continuum of care.
So Candace, so people get into the system, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's that program look like, and what's the exit strategy? Because there always is, you get in and you do some things. So tell us about, you have a program called Journey Home. What is that?
Yeah, so whenever our residents do come into our centers, they are given case managers to work with them and set up a success plan to get them back to self-sufficiency. So the goal obviously is to move out into their own homes. So we started the Journey Home program, which when I started about 1.5 years ago, I noticed, coming in and out of work, seeing our residents come in with garbage bags with their belongings. So I thought, on move out day, it's a really exciting time. It's a celebratory day. They've worked hard to move out, to find their own place. So I thought, there has to be something that we can do, that we can provide for them to give them a better means of transporting their items into a fresh new start. So we started the Journey Home program, where we ask donors to donate new or gently used luggage to give them an honorable means of transportating their items.
And typically those black bags are garbage bags. So the impact emotionally for them and for the people looking at them, they think that it's garbage until they realize that's their stuff.
Right.
So recently, in the last couple of years, we know that COVID has struck financially to a lot of people and emotionally to a whole lot more. We know that there's a tremendous impact on the providers and subsequently on the children. So what's being done to help people that are suffering from not necessarily from a psychosis, but from feeling isolation and feeling depressed? They're not feeling very good about themselves or their surroundings. What emotional support is the Chapman Partnership able to provide them with?
Great question. So at Chapman Partnership, through our partners at Jackson Health System, we're able to actually at both facilities have a resident psychologist on site who's able to administer medication and diagnose appropriately depending on the case. And we also have a spiritual life and wellness program, which is really, really special at Chapman Partnership, where they're able to come together in a peer-to-peer setting with people who are sharing the same types of experiences, right? Well, being homeless, it may be something that's new to them, and it could be very scary depending on the case. So through our spiritual life and wellness program, they're able to participate in something called Man Cave Mondays. We also have Women Empowerment Wednesdays, where we bring in motivational speakers and people of the same walks of life to show them that there is a pathway out of homelessness, and that homelessness is not a badge. It doesn't identify you. It's just something that you're going through right now. It's just an experience.
There's an insurance company that hired a young black man with a beard. He's on TV. The story I heard is that he used to be homeless. He tried out for a part being homeless.
Wow.
And now he's like a star. All right.
Wow.
And you never know when that break is going to happen.
Right.
But Candace, there are some people that don't want to be helped and they don't want to go to a facility. Some folks outside of that industry think that the police can force them, they can be removed from the streets. What's real with that, and what's actually being done?
So we have a really great community outreach team that actually goes out into the community and works with people who are experiencing homelessness on the streets to try to get them off the streets. They, if they decide if they want to get the help or not. But of course, we have places like Chapman Partnership that they can go to and get the help that they need if they choose to do so.
And so when store owners call up and they say there's some person sitting out in front, it looks like he's homeless and he's bothering people as they're walking by, the police will tell the shop owner, there's nothing we can do as long as they're moving. Right? That's pretty accurate, right?
Well, through the Homeless Trust, we also work with the City of Miami Outreach. So typically the City of Miami, they're out there every single day building relationships with this chronic homelessness population. So we serve obviously throughout the continuum, chronic homelessness and crisis homelessness. Crisis homelessness is more of what we see at Chapman Partnership, but that chronic population is really the alcohol dependent, drug addicted population that is scared of coming into shelter. So through the City of Miami Outreach, we're able to offset that because they're out there every day, whether it's bringing them lunch, they know their names, and they're building a rapport and a relationship with them to get them to come into shelter.
So the general public has no clue about that people are all providing food for them, right? Mm-hmm. And certainly in building that relationship, they're more likely to get the help that they need, whether it's starting with a conversation, right? And that's really warming to hear that you do that with the City of Miami. Are there some other municipalities that do something similar to that?
I can get back to you on that. But again, Chapman Partnership and our partnership with the Homeless Trust is a national model, and we're very proud of that. So oftentimes we have people visit from all over the country. Sometimes I believe we've had international visitors to come look at our programs and services and our partnership model to replicate that in other municipalities across the country.
Let's talk about the crisis that it seems to be going on today, because last year or maybe the year before, you can't get evicted. Foreclosures, I think, were on hold for a while. Now coming back into it, rents are 20, 30, 40% higher. Home insurance, similarly, right? The price of transportation's gone up pretty dramatically. So if you're living, as a lot of people are, that's enough to push you off, right? And then they can't work.
Right.
What is the short-term solution for that and the longer term?
So the shorter term, we are seeing an uptake in cases and intake at our center specifically and across the continuum. We have an incredible team in programs that focuses on housing, and they're in the rooms that they need to be in. And we are, as Chapman Partnership, we are a part of the conversation. So we're looking to find the best option for affordable housing for our clients. And we're working across the community, across the continuum to ensure that we're finding those short-term and long-term solutions. When we say solutions and our success, it really is ending that homelessness cycle for each individual case by case.
And Candace, when we look at the relationships between children and their parents, when the children are taken care of, the parents most would feel pretty good, right? So what exactly can we do short of the summer, all right? Let's say it's September, kids are back in school. What's the continuum of care for the children so the parents can get a little bit better?
Yeah, so I mean, coming in and volunteering and hosting an activity with our kids, doing something like teaching them how to make slime or just fun activities, kind of taking them out of the environment that they're in, is a great way to come in and help our kids. And also, doing tutoring and things like that throughout the school year for them is a great way to come in and help our children while their parents are going through.
So one of the things that parents want to know, and I guess the kids too, is it going to be like this forever? So how do you transfer that information so they feel confident that this is just temporary? What is it that happens in your environment? Can you answer that?
Yeah, I mean, we try to do everything we can to, not let the kids know exactly what is going on. We try to do our best to give them fun experiences. Like I said, Camp Chapman, we do all the fun things where they have like a regular, normal summer, Christmases, holidays. And then all throughout the year, we just try to do fun activities with them to let them know that this is just temporary and not forever.
So sometimes we'll hear a story about some high school students being homeless, living in their car and succeeding in school, some finishing and some excelling. So it must take a lot of strength for that young person to be able to do that. When the kids come into Chapman, can you identify the ones that are real aggressive, not in a negative way, but they really want more success?
I think, a percentage of our population is actually unaccompanied youth. And what that means by definition is anyone between 18 to about 26 years old that has aged out of the foster care system and is now, in terms, considered an adult, right? So they don't have the same access that they would if they were a minor in the system. So when they come into Chapman, they're placed in a peer-to-peer space in a youth dorm where they're around people who are experiencing the same things that they are in the same time in life. So how we're able to do that is, depending on their case manager, we have a young adult career academy where they're able to go through things like soft skills training, leadership training, if they want a spot in our social enterprise academy, to give them a different outlet than might be typical.
And sometimes we never know when that leader, that mentor is going to appear. And in my case, years ago, I was in a class. The teacher said, "I see you're struggling. We have a special class." Okay. So I go, and it's in her office, which is this big. I said, "Where's the class?" "It's you and me." Wow. She said, "Tell me what's going on." I said, "Every time I write, I get frustrated, and I hate to say this, pull the paper out of the typewriter." And she said something now 50 years later. The next time that happens, just stop and pause and start again. And so here it is. I'm repeating it from those couple words because somebody paid attention. Somebody cared enough. So a lot of these, whether they're adults or the ones that have aged out who are now frustrated because they're not being taken care of, need somebody to pat them figuratively on the shoulders, all right? To help them. So what are you doing to identify the ones that need a little bit more of that than others?
So that's specifically in programs and services. The case managers are so amazing at what they do, and they know every single piece of what you're going through and how they can help you. Everyone's case plan is different and personal depending on their success plan. So it's built out within the first 5 days at Chapman Partnership, and they're with you on that journey. So there are so many different programs and services at Chapman Partnership. Some make sense for most cases and some don't. So it really is between the case manager and the resident and the client to identify what those abilities are.
And Candace, so when these young people age out of, there's a Charlie's program and some other programs that's still around, they get to be 18 and they're no longer being taken care of. a lot of them are not capable of doing anything more than they've been trained in the 5 years before. So the training that short term that gets done there has to include how they feel better about themselves and how they fit in.
Right.
All right. So does that mean you also work with those agencies that are saying we're going to have 10 kids that are going to be coming out of our program? Do these other programs call you up and say, here's what we've got going on?
So it varies really in community outreach. We have several partners and volunteers that come on site to do activities with all different types of populations at Chapman, whether it's the Boy Scouts or motivational speaking. A lot of that happens at our hub of our spiritual life and wellness program, which covers all the bases. We're so grateful, and Candace can attest to this, that we have so many amazing volunteers that rush to come back the second we opened our doors again, that are willing to offer their services across our population.
So I understand in September you're having a big event. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we have the gala. Christine, you are over that. You can go ahead and talk about it.
Sure. So our annual Illuminations Gala is coming back on September 17th at the JW Marriott Marquis. It's a commemorative celebration of all of the success we've had throughout the years. We are honoring Peter Pruitt, who is our immediate past board chair, for the legacy and all of the diligent work that he's done in our community to serve us as our immediate past chair on our board. And we are so excited to welcome almost 1,000 of our corporate partners, donors, and volunteers to celebrate all of our work towards the end of our fiscal year.
So that's wonderful, because there's always that opportunity to say, we recognize you, we hear you, and we want to other people to see what it's like to do that. So if somebody wants to be involved with Chapman, just a business guy, he says, listen, I want to make some donations of time or money or product. All right, what would they do?
So they can visit our website, www.chapmanpartnership.org, and there's really a plethora of opportunities.
Nice word.
Oh,
my goodness. Okay.
There's so many opportunities to get involved depending on what you're looking for. There's corporate opportunities, volunteer opportunities. But when they go to our website, they can submit an inquiry depending on what they're looking to get involved in. And then either myself or Candace or the development community outreach team will filter that through and find the best experience for them.
And do you have young people that volunteer their time?
We do. So we actually have Next Gen, which is our young professional donor arm of Chapman Partnership. We actually host an after party for the gala. If you're interested in coming to that, you can find details on it.
Send money.
Yeah, but you can get involved as a young professional, and there's networking opportunities. We get involved in some critical conversations at the forefront of the community. But yeah, it's just a young professional arm where we create a space for young professionals to come together and advocate.
That's great. I understand you're having a barbecue coming up.
We are having a back to school barbecue for our little kids. Back to school, Next Gen is hosting that.
Yeah.
Where we're going to have school supplies, a barbecue, bounce house, all sorts of fun activities for our kids.
So I just want to know, you see all the ads around for barbecue by this, and says, you go outside in the 90-degree weather and you're barbecuing where it's 130 degrees. Are there outside events in January, February, and March for Chapman Partnership, like the barbecue?
I mean, it depends. Our events really change year round. They vary depending on the need or the interest or where the idea sparks from. I mean, it's a beautiful time of year. I'd love to host something like this, but back to school does happen in the summer. So,
right. So let's talk about how you get a whole new generation of people involved in giving, whether it's at Chapman or other places. What causes when these young people call or visit, or their parents, what's their motivation? What are they looking to do, and why do you think that's happened?
Yeah, so I actually work with a lot of our student volunteers, and I did do a survey of about 300 student volunteers, and I asked them their reason for wanting to volunteer, and the main reason was to make a difference. So young people really want to see the impact and make a difference in the community. So we actually do have our LIVE program, which is our student-based community leadership program for high school students, which is really to engage teenagers into volunteering and being advocates in the fight to end homelessness.
So one of the things that we recognize is there's so many things that have been hidden from public view, all right? And so many things are in the shadows, all right? And one of the things I've been fortunate to do is to talk with a lot of people in the mental health arena and trying to bring it out, to have a real conversation about it, rather than crazy uncle is over there, instead of saying, listen, Here's what's happened. All right. We know that there's a lot of autism everywhere, people on the spectrum. I'm familiar with the Friendship Circle on 87th Avenue, 112th Street. And I personally probably know 10 parents that have autistic children. And the people that wind up at Chapman, are there adult autistics that are in your programs?
That's a very interesting question. I'm actually very curious to get back to you on that to see what that statistic looks like. I do know we track a bunch of different types of clients that come through our center, but I'd love to find out through our data system if we do track that and get back to you on that.
So, and we know that the county has, you call 211 to get some information. We were fortunate to speak with Pete Cabrera a few minutes ago from Doral, where they have already in the works they're working on creating a place where people can go and they can get directed for social services. And I think that's pretty important because in a time of frustration and anxiety, nobody wants to get the runaround. What they want to hear is, this is what we can do. This is your next step. Come along. All right. That is a really wonderful place for Chapman and for the people throughout the community that really rely on you. And I've personally seen a lot less people out on the street during the day. Again, I don't know whether they are homeless or not, or whether homeless is, do they go to a place to sleep or are they out on the street? But it certainly is a lot less than 5 and 10 years ago. Can you talk about the difference in the number of people that are out on the street today compared to 5 years ago? Can you do that?
I would have to get back to you on that.
Okay. All right, go for it.
I mean, in 2021, just alone, we had about 2,400 people living in shelter. In 2021, based on our point in time count that we work with the Homeless Trust on, there was about 2,400 individuals living in shelter. And that's just in 2021. Now we're seeing about 970 that are unsheltered. You know, it's decreased significantly of what you see unsheltered on the street. But really, it's access to resources. It's getting the name out, working with our partners, and really relying on just our volunteers, our donors, and people who are in the service industry to let people know that there are resources out there. It's really just getting the access to them.
And that's the biggest thing is that you have these services. How do you communicate and get it to the level to where the people that are that know these people are able to access them and be able to have the real conversation with them? And that's the tough part because some are schizophrenic and some are depressed and some are walking around with garbage bags. And a lot of people do want to know, why do so many people that are unsheltered have shopping carts filled with their stuff? Why do they do that?
I mean, I don't have a specific answer to that, but if I had to give my opinion on it, it would be that, you know, they're attached to it. It's all they have. So we obviously give them a space for that at Chapman Partnership. We work with them on their mental health issues, and we're very blessed to be able to have those resources on site to be able to support them throughout their journey.
It's sort of like if you were going on a plane, you take your luggage with you.
Right.
And so sometimes people say, I got to take, well, if they're in a hurry, I said, it has $150 worth of your clothes in it. Is that the whole conversation? No, it's this personal touch that you have. Here's my stuff as they go through. And so certainly I respect that. And I've never gone over and touched somebody's condo, all right? Their cart is like, it's their stuff. And you want to start a fight? Do that, all right? Because they're going to be a little problem. So, and I've not seen in any of the other areas, I've never seen an agency, some people going up and providing support or food to these people. But in the city of Miami and throughout the county, there are people that are trying to take care of these folks.
Yes.
So when frequently when people are asking for money at stoplights, right? I wrote a piece about what that was like, the 60 seconds at the stoplight. And I went through a whole bunch of stuff about help them, don't help them, don't touch them, touch them. Reach in your pocket, whatever's in your pocket, and give them, whether it's $5 or $50 or $100 if the wife didn't get it, all right? And so when I wrote it, people would say, give them a can of food, give them this. Only a few said, try to get them help. Most of the people were on the afraid level, right? Ignoring. And so often when we drive down the street and people you see they want to come over to the car, we ignore them. So when you walk into a place, do they when they're at Chapman, do they feel ignored? And how do you get them to where you want to show them that they can get better and that they can make a difference? How do you get to that point with them?
Yeah, we are constantly encouraging our residents. We treat them as humans because they are. We know that homelessness isn't, it doesn't define them as a person. It's just a situation that they're in. So we do, we encourage them. Like we said, we have our spiritual life, where we have mentors come in, and we have people who write letters of encouragement to our residents, and we constantly are encouraging them to be better and to get better, and know that this is just a situation that they're in and not a forever thing.
And thank you for that. And we know so often that we sort of condemn ourselves for thinking like that. But the reality is, if that's what's bubbling up, all right, then you should acknowledge what you're saying and then make some decisions whether you want to change or not. And not to condemn yourself because you say it, because these are sort of natural things that happen. And if you think you're a bigot and you're thinking along the way, just calm down, wait for a second, and revisit it. So if we were to look at somebody that's out on the street and they have a cart, instead of saying stay away, what should we be saying to ourselves?
I would just go back to exactly what Candace just said. They're just a person, and the state that they're in right now doesn't define them. They have a story, and something happened that led them to that. And it's on us as a community to uplift each other. We like to say that Chapman Partnership is our village. We know the names of our residents. They know our names. They work throughout the center, and they're a part of our village. And as a community, it's our duty to uplift them and let them know that they're people. So they may not look as friendly, but we have to take into consideration their experiences, what they've been through. And it's, again, our duty as a community to get them resources, access to help, share the homeless hotline, and get them into shelter and on a path.
So I like that where you've elevated this to a duty and a responsibility and a commitment, because that's what helps change the world. And right now, Miami-Dade County and the school board's made some decisions to try to get more housing, all right, on all different levels, all right, from minimum to all the way up. That maybe in a couple of years might help. In the meanwhile, all right, Chapman's here providing services to the people of Miami-Dade County, all right, and you have folks that go out, try to reach out to the people and take care of the best they can. Do some of these people go in for a shower and a meal and then just leave?
So we're a placement only shelter. So when you're placed at Chapman Partnership, something happens within the first 5 days. So you're triaged. Unfortunately, you can't just walk up to our center and get a bed, but we do try to provide you with information on how to get into Chapman. So we do have people that come in, very low amount, but we do have rules that you have to abide by just out of respect to your peers in the dorm, your case management, and we're providing these services at no cost to you. And we're making an investment. So we do have people, unfortunately, that very small amount that come in, take a shower, and then come, but they end up coming back. And we're always happy to see them back.
Yes, and that's tremendous that the service is there. Part of our duty is to be able to take information to share with a lot of people. So if people want to donate their time, energy, services, all right, time's very important, or money, all right? Time's really important because it's with that time that you spend, then you can change your thinking. And when you can change your thinking to improve it, and you can improve other people's lives and teach the little kids, from this big to this big. So no matter where they are economically, they can still contact your office. We'd like to volunteer, all right? And I think that's tremendous. Mm-hmm. So we have for you, let's see, what advice would you like to give to the young people in Miami-Dade County?
So what I would tell the young people in Miami-Dade County is that you can make a difference, and you should get involved now. There's a lot of different social issues going on in the world, and by getting involved now and becoming knowledgeable around these issues, it really can change your perspective and give you a different look about the world through a different lens.
Thank you, Candace. Christine?
The advice that I would give to our youth is to always be yourself and be authentic in everything you do. And certainly, as Candace mentioned, get involved in service. It really is so rewarding, and no service is too little. And just get involved and find something that means most to you and give back your time in it.
That's great. I do want to share with you a moment. We were talking with the director of the National Alliance for Mental Illness, and her son had a break 10 years ago, and he's now just finished his master's, and he's now working in that arena. And he came here and sat right where you are, and he came with his guitar, and he sang a wonderful song of "You Are Not Alone."
Oh.
So, folks, you're not alone. I want to thank our guests today from the Chapman Partnership, Candace Cummings and Christina Hernandez. Thank you very much, and we are lucky to have you in my